World Quest's bi-weekly. Wasn't always going to be like that.
Oh yeah, this is crispy.
So I wonder if they're going to make some sort of change. What was interesting to me, whenever I did that Twitter poll, most people were in favor of daily.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a... Okay, so that's the thing, right?
And I think our audience would skew against that. So I think for the broader audience, daily would have been quite a bit more preferable.
This is... I mean, if we're going to get into the conversation, that's what we're going to do now. That's where the interesting part of Twitter polls comes into it, and the audience of a Twitter poll versus audience of like a stream versus you guys in chat versus the people who watch like our videos in the much larger numbers. There's a lot of interesting stuff there, because I'll use an interesting example where IFBB Pro coach Greg Doucette, whenever he uses a Twitter poll, he will pull something, and I think the most specific, the one I want to talk about recently was the Liver King natty or not thing going on, him being outed for steroids and all that shit.
Oh, that shit's so funny.
This whole people talking about that being like 4D chess now, and it's very, very interesting and very annoying. I wish people would just shut up. But Greg did a poll on Twitter, being like, is he natty or not? And obviously, people who follow Coach Greg are going to have a better understanding of steroid use and fitness and what you can do naturally and stuff. And then obviously 95% were like, clearly not natty, clearly juiced gills, like clearly on all sorts of sauce. And then he used that in the video to make a point of like, obviously, you know, people don't think he's natural. But that's like, no, that's not, your Twitter poll isn't people.
Greg has forgotten about TikTok using normies who will see the Liver King and his ancestral tenants and think, oh my god,
yeah, it's a difference.
I must be very low T because of, I mean, you know what, I won't even joke about the microplastics. It seems that might actually, that's some real shit.
Sure is.
But yeah, it's like you're polling these people, but what about all of the people that are like, there's no Venn diagram, their circle is away over there.
Yeah, and that's the people you need to remember, because that's the thing of daily content means you want to log in every day, or you feel you're supposed to log in every day, or you'll miss stuff. And that's fundamentally the difference between this expansion and other expansions. This is why they intentionally made them bi-weekly, because they were daily, and they have been daily for a long time. So you go, why did Blizzard not make them daily? And you have to think about the developer perspective, and you go, well, okay, well, they're not daily, and there are dailies in terms of rares and stuff, but they don't reward all that much. And then there's, well, the ALAG camp felt like it should have been dailies, because they've always done dailies like that before, but instead they did it bi-weekly. And then you kind of plan, well, how am I going to play this game then? And you immediately go, oh, I can log in twice a week. I can do all my world quests and my ALAG dailies, and then again, do them again. And then weave the weeklies and stuff in there as you go. And you go, oh, I only have to log in twice a week, planning for the future. Because that was someone else saying, I can't remember who was said there, but someone said it's like, yeah, what about a year and a half from now? Would daily world quests still feel good? And it's like, daily world quests would make sense for, oh, there's more content, there's more to do, your progression's faster. But it's more things you miss if you don't log in. Whereas as it stands, you don't miss anything if you log in twice a week outside of daily rares and some daily lockouts. And I think that's where the ultimate point is. It's Blizzard are actively, and obviously Ian talked about this with Preach in the interview. People want to like log out and come back to rails, and that obviously extends to not wanting to force daily active users, because that's we all knew that's what they were doing for a long time, and we all know they still force weekly active users because of the Great Vault and stuff. That's what that's designed for. It's to make you log in for the weekly progress. I know it's like force versus
They may disagree with that. They may say that there naturally is a weekly loot lockout, and they've put that there as a an incentive and a bad luck protection. Yeah,
that's the idea of. I think it's reasonable enough that they're not super forcing weekly. It's like theoretically they are, but that's what works naturally. Whereas daily feels a bit more aggressive. Daily feels a bit more like, well, this doesn't work with how World of Warcraft has worked before, so why am I logging in daily? That's it. Obviously, daily should be in the past and stuff, but I feel like they're intentionally going, no, you can log in less. There's a lot for you to do, a lot of time, but you can log in less often, and you won't feel as restricted. I feel like that was their idea for it, And I think
Yeah.
that's why they
Well,
stuck to their guns.
even floated the idea of something similar for the Great Vault, where if you hadn't logged in for a few weeks, you could like select multiple items.
Oh, they absolutely should do that. Yeah.
That's not in the game,
Yeah.
by the way, but it's an idea that they floated, which I guess is a similar philosophy.
Yeah. There's a couple of things I see people saying in chat, which is, what are players missing? Or, but if you miss something, that's fine. So this is interesting. And I talked about this at length with a couple of different people. And missing, it's not about what you're missing, right? That's how people always frame it and think of it. It's about what you're missing.
Yep, lost immersion.
Yeah. Well, if you don't log in, you miss something. But it's like, what do you miss? You miss the I guess the way I'll explain this is through logical understanding of what people miss versus the emotional experience of missing something. And the emotional experience of like how that ties to the player experience of playing the game. And that's a thing where if like what you miss doesn't actually matter. It doesn't matter that you're losing a little bit of renown. It's like, oh, well, what's renown? You're just going to, you can get that later. You can farm it out later if you miss it. It's not a big deal. But there is very much the idea of the game asking you to log in via systems and like the mild psychological effect that will have on you. Because when you make the decision, should I log in today? And you go, oh, you have that whole decision tree in your head, the whole pros and cons lining up all subconsciously. And there will be a part going, oh, you missed your world quests. Like, oh, you missed some gear, you miss gold, especially because like 500 gold from the dragon riding races and stuff. Oh, you'll miss some renown, you'll miss that progress, you'll kind of fall behind. And it's less to do with it being literally important and more about how that feels as a player. But it's not at the layer of you actively feeling it and making like that decision actively in your brain. It's about the psychological concepts, how it works in the background of how you think. In the same way that everyone goes, oh, loot boxes. You're like, yeah, but that's gambling. And then you go to all the psychological things of how that works on you in the background, how it impacts your decision making in the long term that isn't active to you. And that's the thing of, it's not about what you literally miss. It's about what the game is asking of you and what psychological weight it's putting on you. And in this case, they've decided we'll put a little bit of less weight on people. We'll put a little bit of less pressure on people to log in every day. And then that means they'll log in every other weekend. Their guess is that people will be happier and not burn themselves out in the game as a result.
I'm getting a feeling it's going to turn out like that.
I've been investigating this profoundly in my own head, in terms of my experience of the game.
Just rummaging around in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend doing that too often. Sort of you displace things, but it definitely feels a little bit better planning like how I'm going to play in the future. Obviously, I can like even right now, I can do all the Rathion stuff now. I did all the Rathion stuff, so I don't feel pressured to do it at all later. I don't feel pressured to like do the Obsidian Citadel stuff every week anymore because I'm like, sure, whatever. Or I know that I can go and farm out. Like I can just dig for like 3 hours instead of doing my weeklies. I miss them sometime, or I miss world quests because I don't want to log in. I can make out random in other ways. You're like, sweet.
Yeah, being able to make it up in other ways is because that's what really solidifies the loss. It is okay. You missed 2 days of dailies. You're now 2 days behind everybody else, and it's like that may not matter too much, but yeah, it has a negative feeling in the back of the mind. I guess that's why with the whole pacing of Reputation in Zereth Mortis, like that got kind of heated. Like I got really heated with the community, like the way that rep was on rares and stuff like that, and they ended up changing it to be to be better. Yeah. But I think that's why that ended up being like not the be all end all, not the worst thing in the world, but it clearly mattered to people.
Yeah, and that's the thing where it's about like the you always call them the intangibles. It's about like the micro gains. It's about the small things that add up in terms of how players feel about your game. And if going for bi-weekly means people log in less but not feel pressure to, then I think that's going to be one of those micro gains of, oh, you're shifting the wave of opinion people have about the game internally, how much they feel it's a chore versus not a chore. And that's going to be where it really matters, especially with like bringing up Zereth Mortis is a good one for the soft time getting versus the hard time getting, where going around killing rares is tedious as fuck. It always has been and always will be. Even now, it's like, unless they like redesign those radically, it's still pretty tedious because of how you fly around, you wait for Silver Dragon because the game doesn't support like rares on your map and stuff too well outside of they're better at it now, but it's still like you can just miss them because they die in like 10 seconds or 20 seconds ever. And there's a lot of that still happening. You're like, oh, well, this is dire, and then you have to get an external tool to track what you've killed rare every day and stuff. So this time they could have done that and could have went, oh, you can just get all your daily rares and that'll make up for the world quest you missed. But instead they're like, just dig up dirt. Obviously they nerfed dirt. They nerfed a lot of things that were a little bit too
How
good
much
for
did the
it.
dirt get nerfed?
I have no idea actually. I'm sure it's in here. I'm sure
Okay.
Dakar has it in here, but it's more the fact you can just infinitely grind, and you go, I'll just do my not chores. I'll just do my gameplay later. It's fine.